In my previous video, I spoke a little bit about how uh, the statues discovered in the Ain Ghazal region and how the statues were connected to art and how art was produced in larger numbers. Today, I'd like to shift my focus a little bit to the Jericho region or Jericho. There are different ways of pronouncing it, but this region is somewhere north of the Dead Sea and west of Jordan. What is so unique about this site is that it is the oldest known, most lived in civilization known till date. This site is unique for a couple of reasons. One of them is the construction of this site. The most unique feature is that this site had a wall, a very tall wall, built around the settlement, and beyond the wall was a dug up pit. Now we don't know what was the reason behind it. Was it to be protected from other enemies or other wild animals? We don't know, but there is a big wall that protected the inhabitants of the settlement. The second most unique feature about this was the discovery of skulls in the various houses. Now we've found skeletons, or we found statues, we found various artifacts, but they were complete as a whole. This is the first ever site where unique skulls were discovered, and after excavation it was discovered the rest of the body was buried without the skull, and the skulls were found in the houses. Now how can we analyze this? One of the theories is that the families or whoever lived in one of the houses, they wanted to remember their ancestors or the elders, and so they would remove the skull after burying the body. Once the body was buried, they waited till it decomposed, somewhere around a year or maybe a couple of years, and they would exhume the skull after that and plaster around the skull using shells and for the eyes, and they even painted the face and the hair, and these were discovered in the houses where they maybe worship them, or maybe they just idolize them, or could be a memory also. Now this wasn't discovered in just one, it was discovered in many of the houses. So it is assumed that this was a kind of a ritual that the community, the members of the community, decided to follow for quite some time, not just a year or two, but over hundreds of years this ritual was followed. Now the reason behind it is, once again, could be to remember the ancestors, or could be just they were worshipping idols, or it could be anything. But this was another discovery. The third theory that is analyzed from the skulls and the bodies that were discovered, excavated from the site, is that earlier the humans settled in smaller numbers, and they were nomadic in their lifestyle, and the predominant function was to hunt so that they could survive. From looking at the settlement, the construction of the houses, and the analysis of the skeletons, it is said that this particular community decided to give up on the hunting skills, give the hunting lifestyle, and settle more of a domestic kind of a lifestyle, where they decided to grow their own agricultural products or find internal resources to sustain themselves. This is probably one of the communities that began this lifestyle of agriculture and using resources from within to sustain the lifestyle. Now, how can I connect with this art? It is more of the evolution of the human species and not so much to do with art. art can be connected to how the skull was preserved using plaster. Of course, they exhumed it from the body, and then when the internal organs were decomposed, they covered it with plaster and used shells and paint to cover the face and the hair. That could be the artistic point of view, but the art was more connected with, I think, the lifestyle that changed from, that was a massive change from what the hunting and the nomadic way to being a little more settled and calm about their daily activities. I think this is one of the major progressions in the evolution of man, and I wanted to share that today. Thank you for staying tuned.